chaos.
You think they're finishing 7th or 8th?
Obviously, if I put them in the top 6.
No, but you genuinely believe that? No, but you finished 6th last season, you're a basket case.
That's the only word that could describe Chelsea Football Club just 12 months ago. A club that once dominated Europe, reduced to a punchline. 12 different managers in 12 years. Over £1 billion spent on players who couldn't string 3 passes together. A dressing room so fractured it made a broken mirror look whole. The media had written them off. The pundits laughed. Even their own fans had stopped believing. But then, something changed. An Italian nobody had heard of walked through the doors of Stamford Bridge. No flashy resume, no big-name reputation, just a quiet confidence and a tactical blueprint that would turn Chelsea from a laughingstock into the most terrifying team in Europe. This is the story of Enzo Maresca, the man who found hope in Chelsea's chaos, the genius who turned teenagers into titans, the tactician who made Europe's giants tremble. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why Chelsea aren't just back, they're coming for everything. Before we dive into the madness, let's rewind the clock. Because to understand how Maresca saved Chelsea, you need to understand where this man came from. Enzo Maresca wasn't born into football royalty. He wasn't a superstar player. In fact, most people watching this video have probably never seen him play. And that's exactly the point. Maresca's playing career was solid but unremarkable. He spent most of his time in Italy's Serie A, grinding it out with the bottom table teams. He had a brief stint at Juventus, played for Sevilla in Spain, and even had a cup of coffee in the Premier League with West Bromwich Albion. But here's the thing, Maresca was never the most talented guy on the pitch. He was the smartest. As a midfielder, he saw the game differently. While other players chased the ball, Maresca studied patterns. He understood space, timing, and how to manipulate opponents with positioning. His teammates would later say he played like a coach on the field. Always thinking 3 moves ahead. Always organising. Always in control. Did you know, during his time at Sevilla, Maresca played under Juan de Ramos, the same manager who would later win the UEFA Cup? Ramos once said Maresca had the mind of a tactician trapped in a player's body. That quote would prove prophetic. When Maresca hung up his boots in 2017, nobody was surprised when he immediately moved into coaching. This wasn't a guy who needed time to figure out his next move. He'd been preparing for this his entire career. Maresca's coaching journey started where all great stories begin, at the bottom. He cut his teeth in Manchester City's youth academy, working under Pep Guardiola, and this is where everything clicked. Guardiola didn't just teach Maresca tactics, he taught him a philosophy, how to dominate possession, how to create numerical superiority, how to turn football into chess. For 3 years, Maresca absorbed everything. He studied Guardiola's inverted fullbacks, his positional rotations, his obsession with controlling space. But Maresca wasn't content to just copy. He wanted to evolve it, make it his own. In 2023, Maresca got his first big break. He was appointed manager of Leicester City in the Championship, England's second tier. The club had just been relegated from the Premier League and morale was in the gutter. Players were leaving. Fans were furious, it was a mess. But Maresca didn't panic. He implemented his system, a possession-based, high-pressing style that suffocated opponents. Leicester didn't just win the Championship. They played football that made Premier League teams jealous. Maresca had turned a relegated disaster into a tactical masterpiece. And that's when Chelsea came calling. Let's be real. Chelsea in 2024 was a dumpster fire. 3 years earlier, they'd finished 12th in the Premier League, with a negative goal difference. Their worst season in Premier League history. No Europe, no identity, no hope. The club had spent over £1 billion on players, but it felt like they'd bought them from a clearance sale. Talented individuals who had no idea how to play together. It was like watching a group of strangers try to assemble IKEA furniture without instructions. Managers came and went like Uber drivers. Thomas Tuchel won the Champions League and got sacked. Graham Potter lasted 6 months. Mauricio Pochettino steadied the ship slightly, winning the Conference League and Club World Cup. But even he couldn't crack the code. The media had a field day. Chelsea's trophies are participation awards, they said. The Conference League doesn't count. The Club World Cup is a glorified friendly. But here's what nobody understood. Those trophies weren't the end goal. They were the foundation. Pochettino had stabilised the chaos. He'd given the young players confidence. He'd created a base. And when Enzo Maresca walked into Stamford Bridge in the summer of 2024, he didn't see chaos. He saw potential. Raw, unpolished, explosive potential. He saw a squad with an average age of 23. Teenagers with the talent of superstars. Players who'd been told they weren't good enough, hungry to prove everyone wrong. Maresca looked at this mess and smiled, because he'd seen this movie before. At Leicester, he'd taken a broken team and turned them into champions. Now, he was about to do it on the biggest stage in the world. So how did Maresca do it? How did he turn Chelsea from a joke into a juggernaut? One word: structure. Maresca's system is a beautiful hybrid. It's part Guardiola, part his own genius. On paper, it looks like a 4-2-3-1. But when Chelsea have the ball, it morphs into a 3-1-3-3. The fullbacks invert into midfield, creating numerical superiority. The wingers stay wide, stretching defences. The number 10 drops between the lines, pulling defenders out of position. It's organised chaos, controlled madness, and it's absolutely lethal. Let me break it down for you. The build-up. Chelsea start from the back. The goalkeeper plays short to the centre-backs. The centre-backs then hit line-breaking passes to the double pivot, Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernández. These two are the heartbeat of the team. Caicedo holds, Enzo roams. They control the tempo, dictate the rhythm, and launch attacks. The midfield overload. Here's where it gets spicy. The fullbacks, Reece James and Marc Cucurella, don't stay wide. They tuck inside, joining the midfield. This creates a 3-1-4-2 shape that suffocates opponents. You can't press Chelsea because they always have a numerical advantage. Try to mark one player and two others are free. The attack. Up front, Chelsea have options for days. The wingers, Estêvão, Garnacho, Neto, Gittins, constantly rotate. 1 minute they're wide, the next they're cutting inside. Defenders have no idea who to mark. And in the middle, whether it's João Pedro dropping deep or a striker pinning centre-backs, there's always a target. The press. When Chelsea lose the ball, they don't sit back. They hunt in packs. The front three press the back line. The number 10 cuts off passing lanes. The double pivot sweeps up loose balls. It's relentless, suffocating, exhausting for opponents. And here's the kicker. Maresca has made 102 lineup changes this season. That's 41 more than any other team in the league. He rotates constantly, keeping players fresh and opponents guessing. You can't prepare for Chelsea because you never know what version you're getting. Did you know? Maresca strictly caps every video analysis session with his players at 50 minutes. He believes that after that point, focus drops, details get missed, and the message loses its power. It's a small rule, but it shows exactly how precise and how protective of his players' concentration he really is. Now, let's talk about the players, because tactics mean nothing without talent. And Chelsea, they've got talent for days. Let's start with the midfield. Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernández. These two are the engine room. Caicedo is the destroyer, winning tackles, breaking up play, controlling transitions. But here's the crazy part. He scored 4 goals this season from defensive midfield. He's got a rocket of a right foot and isn't afraid to let it fly from 30 yards out. Just ask Liverpool. Enzo Fernández is the creator. He makes runs into the box like a striker. He threads passes through the eye of a needle. The guy is everywhere, and he's only getting better. Now, the attack. This is where Chelsea become terrifying. On the left, you've got Alejandro Garnacho. Remember him? Manchester United's golden boy? Yeah, Chelsea poached him for £40 million. And while he's still adapting, the talent is undeniable. South American flair, 1 versus 1 ability, and unpredictability. He's the kind of player who makes defenders have nightmares. On the right, there's Estêvão. This kid is 18 years old, and he's already playing like a seasoned veteran. His decision-making is scary good. His left foot is a wand. Against Liverpool, he scored a 95th minute winner. Against Barcelona, he destroyed Pau Cubarsí and thundered a goal into the roof of the net. He's averaging a goal contribution every 94 minutes for Brazil. That's better than Ronaldo and Neymar at the same age. Then there's João Pedro, the Brazilian magician. He can play anywhere across the front line. Number 10, false 9, winger, doesn't matter. His technical ability is ridiculous. His vision is elite. And with Cole Palmer injured, he's been carrying the creative load like it's nothing. Speaking of Palmer, he is Chelsea's best player, their most dangerous creator. The guy who finished last season with 18 goals and 14 assists has been injured. And here's the crazy part, Chelsea have thrived without him. Think about that for a second. Your best player is sitting in the treatment room and you're still second in the Premier League. You're still dominating in the Champions League. You're still creating the most chances from open play in the entire league. That's not luck. That's depth. That's system. That's Maresca. But here's the terrifying reality for the rest of Europe. Palmer is coming back. Imagine this Chelsea team, already the second highest scorers in the league, adding their best creator back into the mix. 2 world-class number 10s, João Pedro and Cole Palmer, on the same pitch at the same time. How do you defend that? You can't double-team Palmer because João Pedro will punish you. You can't focus on the wingers because the midfield will thread passes through the middle. You can't sit deep because Chelsea have too many runners. You can't press high because they'll play over you. There's no answer, no tactical solution, no way to shut them all down. When Palmer returns, Chelsea won't just be good, they'll be unstoppable. November 25th, 2025, Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Barcelona. This was supposed to be the night Chelsea got exposed, the moment everyone would see they weren't ready for the elite level. Barcelona arrived in London as reigning La Liga champions. They had Lamine Yamal, the 18-year-old golden boy lighting up Europe, Robert Lewandowski up front, Ferran Torres on the wing, with Rafinha coming on from the bench. Under Hansi Flick, they'd been terrorizing teams across the continent. They hadn't failed to score all season. The pundits were unanimous. Barcelona would win. Chelsea were too young, too inconsistent, too naive. And to make matters worse, Chelsea were without Cole Palmer, their best player, sidelined with injury. But Enzo Maresca had a plan. He started without a recognised striker. Pedro Neto operated as a false 9, constantly dropping deep and dragging Barcelona's centre-backs, Pau Cubarsí and Ronald Araujo, out of position. This created massive gaps in the half spaces for Alejandro Garnacho and Estêvão to exploit. From the opening whistle, Chelsea were on the front foot. They pressed high, won the ball back quickly, and dominated possession. Barcelona looked uncomfortable, even rattled. But Chelsea weren't done creating chances. Enzo Fernández had 1 goal disallowed for offside in the first half. Chelsea's rehearsed corner routines were causing Barcelona all kinds of problems. Reece James forced 2 saves from the long-range efforts. Neto blazed over when clean through. In the 27th minute, Chelsea took the lead. A cleverly worked short corner involving Estêvão, Garnacho and Marc Cucurella ended with Neto's flick ricocheting off Jules Koundé and into the net. 1-0 Chelsea. The Stamford Bridge crowd erupted. Barcelona's best chance of the half fell to Ferran Torres, who somehow put a close-range effort wide. It was a let-off for Chelsea, but they were clearly the better team. Then, just before half-time, the game tilted decisively in Chelsea's favour. Barcelona captain Ronald Araujo received his 2nd yellow card, the first for dissent, the 2nd for a reckless challenge on Marc Cucurella. Barcelona were down to 10 men. At half-time, Hansi Flick made a change, bringing on Marcus Rashford on loan from Manchester United, to add some attacking threat. But it didn't matter. Chelsea were in complete control. 10 minutes into the second half, Estêvão produced the moment of the match. The 18-year-old Brazilian picked up the ball on the right wing, skipped past Pau Cubarsí with ease, held off the challenge of Alejandro Balde, and powered a shot past goalkeeper João Garcia into the roof of the net. 2-0 Chelsea. It was a goal worthy of a Champions League night. A moment of individual brilliance that showcased exactly why Chelsea paid big money for this kid. Lamine Yamal, the supposed star of the show, was nowhere to be seen. In fact, Yamal was so ineffective that he was substituted in the 85th minute, to jeers from the Chelsea crowd. 2 minutes later, Maresca took Estêvão off to a standing ovation. The kid had stolen the show. But Chelsea still weren't finished. In the 73rd minute, Enzo Fernández broke the offside trap with a perfectly timed run, squared the ball across the box, and Liam Delap, who hadn't scored in 7 games, side-footed home to make it 3-0. The final whistle blew. Chelsea had just dismantled Barcelona, dominated them, embarrassed them. The stats told the story. Chelsea controlled the tempo, created the better chances, and executed their game plan to perfection. For the first time under Hansi Flick, Barcelona failed to score. For the first time all season, they looked ordinary. And Chelsea, they looked like champions. Enzo Maresca had just outsmarted one of the best managers in the world, with a squad full of teenagers, without his best player, against one of Europe's giants. The doubters went silent. The pundits changed their tune. The narrative shifted. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't luck. This was a statement. Chelsea weren't just competing in the Champions League. They were dominating it. And the rest of Europe had just been put on notice. But it's not just about the attack. Chelsea's defence has been quietly brilliant. 3 straight clean sheets. Wolves came to Stamford Bridge and didn't register a single shot on target. When Wesley Fofana returned from injury, the backline became almost unplayable. Opponents are being restricted to low-quality chances. Long stretches where they can't create anything from open play. Reece James is staying fit, finally. Marc Cucurella is playing the best football of his career. Malo Gusto is bombing forward like a winger, but tracking back like a fullback. And in goal, despite the occasional red card drama, Robert Sanchez has stabilised. His distribution has improved. His decision-making is sharper. This isn't the Chelsea that conceded 3 or 4 goals a game last season. This is a team that suffocates opponents, that defends as a unit, that makes clean sheets look easy. So where does Chelsea go from here? Right now, they're 3rd in the Premier League, 6 points behind Arsenal, with 25 games left to play. In the Champions League, they're 7th with 10 points, fighting for a position in the top 8 and for sure qualified for the knockout stage. Cole Palmer is coming back. Levi Colwill might return from injury. The squad is getting healthier. The system is getting sharper. The confidence is growing. And here's the scariest part for the rest of Europe. This team is still learning, still developing, still improving. Estêvão is 18. Garnacho is 21. Enzo Fernández is 24. This isn't a team at its peak. This is a team just getting started. 12 months ago, Chelsea were a punchline, a billion-pound disaster, a club drowning in chaos. Today, they're 3rd in the Premier League, dominating in the Champions League, playing football that makes Europe's giants nervous. And it's all because of one man, an Italian genius who saw hope where others saw chaos, a tactician who turned teenagers into titans, a manager who refused to panic when the world said he should. Enzo Maresca didn't just save Chelsea, he transformed them. The doubters said it couldn't be done. The pundits said he wasn't ready. The critics said the system wouldn't work. They were all wrong. Because when you combine structure with talent, discipline with creativity, patience with ambition, you don't just build a good team, you build a monster. And Chelsea, they're just getting started. The chaos is over, the hope is real, and Europe better be ready. because the Blues are back, and they're coming for everything. If you want to see more breakdowns like this, stories about the greatest teams and managers in football history, click that video on your screen right now. And if you made it this far, drop a like and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next one.